How to disappear and transform yourself in 1 week. The most dangerous man is not the one who fights loudly, but the one who vanishes quietly. He doesn't warn the world. He simply disappears. And when he returns, he's unrecognizable. Stronger. Sharper. Silent. This is the path of the Stoic. This is the power of self-erasure and rebirth. You don't need a year. You don't need permission. You don't even need motivation. You need 1 week. 7 days of brutal silence. Relentless focus. An inward war. This isn't a self-help retreat. This is a transformation ritual. Disappear. Rebuild. Re-emerge as someone no one can shake. Withdraw into yourself. It is in the inner man that dwells the truth. Marcus Aurelius. There comes a moment in every man's life when the noise becomes unbearable. The world pulls at you, demanding attention, reaction, performance. Your phone never stops buzzing. Your routines numb you. You speak too much and say too little. You scroll endlessly, consume without digestion, and wake up every morning with a strange feeling that you're drifting further from something, but you can't quite name what. That something is yourself. And unless you break the cycle, ruthlessly, deliberately, and completely, you will die a stranger to your own potential. This guide is not about escape. It's about rebirth. To disappear is not to hide. It's to retreat with intent. To step back from the noise, the opinions, the false images, and meet yourself in the raw silence that terrifies most people. It's a strategy. A rite of purification. A sacred rebellion against chaos. And if you do it right, you won't come back the same. Why disappear? Disappearance isn't cowardice. In Stoic philosophy, it is preparation. The greatest generals don't fight every battle. The strongest men don't speak in every room. The wisest souls don't show up to every conflict. They disappear to rearm. They vanish to refine their mind, their body, their purpose. They understand this core law of transformation. He who retreats with discipline returns with force. Modern society mocks silence. It glorifies noise, posts, updates, endless broadcasting. It tells you to share your every move, every meal, every mood. But the Stoic knows, true power grows in silence. Not in performance. Not in applause. In disciplined withdrawal. To truly become something new, you must vanish from the place where the old version of you was tolerated. You must burn the skin of who you've been to uncover the core of who you are. The Stoic paradigm, transformation through withdrawal. The Stoics didn't disappear to escape reality, they disappeared to face it fully. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote his deepest reflections not in public, but alone, in the dark corners of battle camps. He spoke to himself, questioned his ego, reminded himself daily of his mortality. Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water. Marcus Aurelius. But how does a cliff form? Through erosion. Through time. Through pressure. And most importantly, in silence. We live in a world of reaction. Most people spend their entire lives responding, never initiating. Controlled by emotion. Addicted to validation. Obsessed with being seen, but terrified of being alone. This guide flips that entire model on its head. You don't need a year. You need intention. You've been told change takes months. Years. Decades. That's a lie. Transformation doesn't happen in time. It happens in decision. In one brutal, non-negotiable week, you can become someone else. Not because a guru told you to. Not because a motivational quote sparked it. But because you got fed up. Fed up with half-life. Fed up with weakness. Fed up with being accessible to people who drain you. And from that disgust, a new man is born. This guide gives you 7 days to break yourself open and put yourself back together. 7 days to cleanse the body. Purify the mind. Rewrite your code. This is not a vacation. This is a war. Let me be clear, this isn't about comfort. You will be uncomfortable. You will feel lost. You will face urges that have ruled you for years: porn, sugar, talking, scrolling, gossip, validation. All stripped away. This is about walking into fire with your eyes open. Stoicism teaches that the obstacle is the way. The very things you've avoided, solitude, silence, hunger, stillness, discipline, are the exact forces that will set you free. But only if you face them alone. What happens when you disappear the right way? Your energy returns. The moment you stop bleeding yourself dry by over-talking, oversharing, overthinking, you reclaim your inner power. You stop reacting. You start directing. Your mind sharpens. Without distraction, you start to see clearly. What matters? What doesn't? You'll face buried memories. You'll sit with emotions you've dodged for years. But in that clarity lies freedom. Your body strengthens. You'll move more. Eat less. Train without comfort. Every ache becomes a teacher. Every drop of sweat, a sacred cleansing. You start to feel alive again, because you've earned it. Your presence becomes lethal. When you return, you won't need to speak loudly. Your silence will say everything. People will feel it in your energy. Your eyes. Your restraint. The new you will carry weight, and they won't even know why. What you'll need for this week. No distractions. Commit. Shut off the apps. Turn off the noise. Let people wonder where you went. Radical honesty. Face your patterns. Your addictions. Your shame. Stop lying to yourself. Physical engagement. Move your body daily. Sweat. Feel pain. Feel strength return. Mental stillness. No endless scrolling. No binge watching. Just your thoughts. Unfiltered. Complete commitment. Don't dabble. Don't try. Disappear. Fully. Relentlessly. The promise. If you follow this guide, not half-heartedly, but with full immersion, you will not recognize yourself by the end of this week. Not because you'll be perfect. But because you'll be real. Grounded. Clear. Focused. Dangerous. You'll no longer crave their approval. You'll no longer run from silence. And best of all, you'll know exactly who you are, and who you are becoming. Final word before the journey begins. Read this carefully. You will be tempted to quit. You'll want to check your phone. To call someone. To post your progress. To break the silence. That urge is the part of you that must die. Because the moment you stop explaining yourself, chasing validation, or asking for understanding, you become untouchable. This is the Stoic warrior's path. Solitude. Discipline. Transformation. Now disappear. Day 1, silence is a weapon. Better to trip with the feet than the tongue. Zeno of Citium. The first step to disappearing isn't changing your location. It's shutting your mouth. Words are your most dangerous addiction. They leak energy. They invite scrutiny. They expose insecurity. Every sentence you speak today will either cost you power, or conserve it. And in a world that worships noise, the man who chooses silence becomes terrifying. The lie of constant communication. You've been trained since birth to speak. To explain yourself. To answer every question. To update the world on how you feel, what you're doing, where you're going. But here's the brutal truth. Talking is a liability. The more you speak, the more of yourself you give away. Every word reveals your mood, your uncertainty, your need to be liked. Most people don't even talk to connect, they talk to be validated. And worst of all, you talk to avoid facing yourself. You explain your dreams instead of building them. You vent emotions that would have sharpened you if you sat with them. You confess weaknesses hoping for sympathy, when you should be facing them in solitude. The Stoics understood this deeply. They practiced measured speech as a path to power. The Stoic Code of Speech. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Epictetus. Stoic men weren't mute. They weren't antisocial. But their words were chosen like a blade in battle, deliberately, cleanly, with purpose. Here's what Stoic silence means. You don't speak just to fill space. You don't explain unless it's necessary. You don't correct others just to be right. You don't overshare your path, your plans, or your pain. You don't advertise your healing. You say less, but your words carry more. Because when you master silence, your presence begins to speak for you. Why speaking too much destroys you? Talking is an energy leak. Every sentence costs mental focus. Every opinion you share invites reaction. Every time you defend yourself, you hand over emotional control. Here's what most people don't realize. Explaining is a form of submission. The more you try to be understood, the less understood you actually become. People don't respect you for broadcasting. They respect you for mystery. For restraint. For the fact that you don't need to explain. Stoic men knew, when you shut your mouth, the world listens harder. The sacred rule, don't announce, act. This week is your transformation. And if you're serious, you must begin with this rule. No announcements. No updates. No explanations. Don't tell anyone what you're doing. Don't post about your journey. Don't even whisper your goals to friends. The moment you speak them, you dilute them. Keep your fire internal. Let the world see the smoke later. This isn't about hiding. It's about respecting the process. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to be seen to exist. Silence forms a shield around your mind. When you stop talking, something strange happens. Your mind gets loud. Thoughts rush in. Memories you've buried surface. Regret. Anger. Fantasies. Doubts. They all rise like steam from a boiling pot. That's good. That's what you've been avoiding through constant noise. The first 24 hours will test you. You'll feel like texting someone. You'll want to call a friend just to talk. You'll want to explain why you're being quiet. Don't. This is the resistance. The detox. The beginning of cleansing. The first 24 hours, what to do. 1. Vow of verbal discipline. Unless absolutely necessary, job, emergency, practice verbal silence today. When you do speak, keep it brief, neutral, and intentional. Speak less. Listen more. Observe even more. 2. Phone lockdown. Delete or restrict all social apps. No posting. No liking. No browsing. Turn your phone on airplane mode for extended blocks. Let people wonder. Let messages sit unread. You own no one your presence right now. 3. Journal your internal noise. Take all the words you would have spoken, and write them down. Let your journal become the container of your mind. Write without editing. This is where your truth will bleed out. Prompt ideas. What am I afraid of in silence? What truths do I keep avoiding? What am I hiding from others, and from myself? 4. Observe, don't react. Go about your day like a monk in the modern world. Watch people. Notice how much they talk. how reactive they are. Feel the difference between noise and signal. Let their chaos remind you why silence is your sanctuary. Benefits you'll start to feel today. Mental clarity, you'll begin to think before reacting. You'll feel space between stimulus and response. That's where self-control is born. Inner power, the less you say, the more others feel your presence. There's strength in not responding. Emotional reset, with no external chatter, buried emotions will rise. This is where the purge begins. Mystery reborn, people around you will feel the shift. They won't know what changed. And that's the point. Let your absence speak. If you must speak, speak stoically. Here's how to speak like a stoic when absolutely necessary. Be brief. Long speeches leak power. Be neutral. Avoid emotional outbursts. Speak fact, not feeling. Be firm. No hesitation. Say it, then stop talking. Be clear. No justifications. No over-explaining. Example. Instead of, "Hey, I'm doing this silence thing for my mental health, so don't take it personally if I don't reply." Say, "I'm unavailable this week." That's it. Full stop. The fear of being misunderstood. This is one of the biggest obstacles to silence. What if people think I'm rude? Distant? Cold? Let them. One of the most stoic lessons you'll ever learn is this. You are not responsible for the stories people create in their minds. Their assumptions are theirs to manage. Your energy is yours to protect. Never sacrifice inner peace just to be understood. The more you practice this, the less you'll fear silence. The more you'll crave it. Silence in Stoic history, examples of mastery. Cato the Younger, known for his moral integrity, was infamous for speaking only when he had something meaningful to say. His restraint commanded more respect than all the chatter around him. Marcus Aurelius, even while ruling an empire, wrote privately to himself. His meditations were never meant for public eyes. They were quiet reflections. That's power. Epictetus taught that if you want to improve, be prepared to be laughed at. To be silent when others mock you. To choose self-respect over applause. Today's mission summary. New moon objective. Shut your mouth. Stop explaining. Observe in silence. Crossed swords your rule. Speak only if it is useful, necessary, and aligned with your discipline. Brain mindset. My silence is not absence. It is presence multiplied. Notebook reflection prompt tonight. What did I learn about myself by being silent today? What emotions surfaced? Where did I feel the urge to break silence, and why? Closing thoughts, your first test. Today is the first battlefield. Your mouth is your enemy. Your silence is your sword. Use it. Because if you can make it through one full day without reacting, without explaining, without chasing validation, you've already begun your transformation. The more you talk about it, the further you get from it. Lao Tzu. Tomorrow, we go deeper. We confront the clutter within. We clean the inner altar. But first, rest in the silence you've earned. Let the world wonder. Let your stillness disturb them. Because now, you're becoming rare. Day 2, clean the inner altar. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. You've shut your mouth. You've withdrawn your words. But now the real noise begins, inside. Every addiction. Every excuse. Every emotional crutch you've leaned on for years, is rising to the surface. Good. This is where your rebirth begins, not in public, but at the altar within. You are the temple. And it's time to clean house. Why inner clutter destroys your power. You've probably never stopped to consider how many things you carry in your mind that no longer serve you. Dead relationships you mentally revisit daily. Regrets you replay in loops. Jealousy, resentment, shame, guilt. Self-hating beliefs you inherited but never questioned. Useless digital clutter, feeds, memes, saved messages, noise. You don't just carry these things. They carry you, away from yourself. And if you don't consciously clear them, they will sabotage every attempt at transformation. You cannot build a cathedral on a landfill. So today, we burn. We cleanse. We release. The Stoic ritual of purification. The Stoics were not monks hiding from the world. They were warrior philosophers, men who believed in internal mastery through discipline and detachment. To them, the soul was a forge. And like any forge, it must be cleaned before anything strong can be created in it. Here's what that looks like today. Emotional detachment. Identify your emotional triggers and separate your reaction from your response. Mental minimalism. Simplify your thoughts. Stop overthinking. Question your beliefs. Digital purge. Eliminate anything you've consumed that weakens you. Trash the tabs. Delete the dopamine. Forgiveness ritual, not for others, but for your own freedom. You are not your past. Cleaning ritual number 1, the burn letter exercise. Take 30 minutes in complete silence. Write a letter to someone who hurt you. A part of yourself you're ashamed of. A version of you that needs to die. Say everything. No filters. Curse. Cry. Be raw. Then, safely burn it. Let that version of you go up in smoke. Don't share it. Don't post it. Don't keep it. This ritual is private. Brutal. Sacred. Feel the emotional shift afterward. The release. That is space being cleared. That is the sound of your altar being purified. Cleaning ritual number 2, digital death. You're carrying entire personalities in your devices. You scroll through people you haven't seen in years. You follow people who make you feel inferior. You keep conversations alive that should have died. It's time to kill the ghost life. Kitchen knife step by step. Delete any app that steals your time, energy, or self-respect. Unfollow every account that weakens your mind or body. Archive or delete past conversations with people you've outgrown. Clear your photos, tabs, browser history, saved videos. Let go of the digital identity you've been unconsciously performing. You don't owe the internet any version of yourself. You must sacrifice your false self to resurrect your true self. Cleaning ritual number 3, the cold water reset. Today, take a cold shower or bath. Not for pleasure. Not for health. But for psychological cleansing. Feel every shiver. Every gasp. Don't resist it. Accept it. Let the cold strip away comfort. Let it clean the inner debris. Let it silence the mental noise. The Stoics believe that comfort weakens the soul. So don't seek warmth. Seek resilience. When you step out, you're not just clean, you're sharpened. Cleaning ritual number 4, the circle of influence audit. Go through every person in your inner circle today. Ask. Does this person energize or drain me? Do they respect my silence or demand constant attention? Do I become more powerful, or more passive, around them? If you find people who sabotage your discipline, confuse your values, or keep you tied to an old identity, distance is your answer. You don't need to block or explain. Just stop feeding the bond. Stop responding. Go ghost, internally. This isn't about hate. It's about priority. You are rebuilding your altar. That requires sacred space. Only the worthy are allowed near it. The psychology of cleaning, why this works. The mind operates like a room. And rooms, left unattended, gather dust. Slowly. Unnoticeably. Until one day, you can't breathe. That's where most men live today, suffocating in their own unresolved past. Cleaning the inner altar does three things. Restores mental oxygen. You stop repeating thoughts that serve no purpose. You make space for new patterns, new clarity. Breaks hidden trauma loops. By confronting guilt, shame, and regret, you cut the chain. You stop reliving your emotional prison. Aligns your environment with your new self. Transformation isn't just internal. The things around you must reflect the man you're becoming. This is identity hygiene. If you skip this, everything else you build will be contaminated. Stoic detachment, the ultimate power. Detachment isn't coldness. It's not apathy. It's not nihilism. Detachment is clarity. It's the ability to see things as they are, not how your emotions color them. The Stoics taught that you suffer not because of what happens, but because of your interpretation. So today, we strip the interpretations. We remove the drama. You don't lose friends, you release those who no longer align. You don't become cold, you become sovereign. Today's mission summary. Fire objective. Purge your internal, digital, and emotional clutter. Brick your rule. If it doesn't strengthen you, it goes. Brain mindset. My soul is a temple. I allow no garbage inside. Notebook reflection prompts tonight. What thoughts or people am I holding onto that are rotting my spirit? What emotions did I purge today, and what did I learn from them? What am I making space for? Tomorrow, the discipline of deprivation. Today you cleaned. Tomorrow, you fast. Not just from food, but from stimulation. From comfort. From dopamine. From ease. You will starve the weak patterns, and feed the fire. If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid. Epictetus. This path isn't for spectators. You are in the forge now. See you in the fire. Day 3, Fast and Focus. The discipline of deprivation. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. Today, the body rebels. The mind wanders. The addictions rise up, angry that you've starved them for 48 hours. This is exactly where you're meant to be. Day 3 is about deprivation. Not as punishment, but as purification. Because what most men call needs are just habits. And what most men call comfort is just dependence dressed as pleasure. So today, we fast. From food. From pleasure. From stimulation. From the easy escape routes that have deluded your soul. Why fasting is spiritual warfare. Fasting is one of the oldest practices in human history, not just for health, but for clarity. Prophets fasted before receiving visions. Warriors fasted before battle. Philosophers fasted to discipline the will. Why? Because hunger simplifies. It cuts away the fog of luxury. It silences noise. It makes your thoughts raw, sharp, honest. In hunger, you meet your true self. The Stoic view on fasting. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, often deprived himself of food, warmth, and comfort, even when they were available. Not to punish himself, but to prepare. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition I feared?" That was his training. To remove the illusion that luxury equals strength. To kill fear through exposure. You're doing the same today. By fasting, you break the lie that your cravings are your identity. You sever dependence. You strengthen sovereignty. Fasting beyond food. Food is just one craving. You're also addicted to music, porn,